Hello everybody, this is ManuS and welcome to another MTG Arena starter deck series. Today we are going to take a look at the Dimir deck called Dimir Manipulation in this 8th part of the series. So let's dive into the deck list. Alright, so on 1 mana we have 2 opt and an unsummon to just squeeze into our curve or do something on turn 1 to use our mana efficiently and manipulate our draws a bit. Next we have 1 Labyrinth Guardian, 1 Censor, 2 Essence Scatter and a Negate to give us kind of like a round 4 2 mana countersuit, focusing heavily on Essence Scatter because creatures are still the thing we need to face most, and then Censor for some flexibility and Negate against spells. In addition, we get 2 Moment of Craving and a Walk the Plank as removal, and a Treasure Map as last 2-cost card, which is one of the main sort of card advantage engines of the deck actually. Next we have a Champion of Wits, and its Eternalize also provides additional card drawing power in the late game. A Hornswoggle, which provides either acceleration from the treasure, or we can use the treasure to draw cards with Treasure Cove. We also get a Supreme Will and to cancel, so we have 4 3-cost counter spells as well, just some diversification here, and more card draw in Secrets of the Golden City, which later on can turn into a draw 3, so it basically can upgrade from a divination into a concentrate with Ascent. Then we have some more removal / disruption in Doomfall, which is basically either a coercion or sort of like an edict that exiles at sorcery speed. More removal in Reaver Ambush, Vanquish the Weak, which is basically a Reaver Ambush that doesn't exile, so a worse Reaver Ambush basically, and a Golden Demise, a sort of early sweeper. Then on 4 we have a Ravenous Chupacabra and an Impale as 2 unconditional removal at sorcery speed, and 2 Hieroglyphic Illumination as additional card draw. Then on 5 we get a bunch of creatures, an Air Elemental, a Glyph Keeper, a Soul of the Rapids, which is definitely the worst of those, and an additional universal removal, which this time exiles and is an instant. So yeah, this is clunky, but it allows you to deal with whatever, including stuff like Hazoret. And on 6 we have an Angler Drake, another bigger flyer. Granted, the card is a bit awkward in the deck, I think, since returning target creature to its owner's hand will rarely happen on our side of the board, and on the opposing side of the board there's often a lot of creatures that you don't even want to return, so the card, when I played this deck, felt often pretty awkward and kind of like a bad air elemental. Then we have a Tetsimok, Primal Death, 6/6 Death Touch, Elder Dinosaur, that we can reveal paying 1 black mana and putting a prey counter on target creature, and then when you play Tetsimok it kills all creatures with a prey counter on it. So it's kind of like a build-up sweeper in a way with a 6/6 Death Touch attached to it. Then the main finisher of the deck, I guess, is Nizahal, Primal Tide, a 7/7 for 7 that can't be countered. You don't have maximum hand size. When the opponent casts a non-creature spell, you draw a card, and you can discard 3 cards to exile Nizahal and return it to the battlefield tapped under its owner's control at the beginning of the next end step. And last but not least, like the end game, I win the game sort of spell is Overflowing Insight. Unfortunately it's a sorcery, making it pretty clunky and also forcing you often to discard a couple cards. Basically, triple blue for target player draws 7 cards. So that rounds out the non-land part of the deck. The deck has 26 land. which is reasonable given how the opening hand works in best of one in MTG Arena. But even in that case, it might be reasonable to just have 27 still, because the deck has a lot of 6s and 7s and a bunch of card draws and a bunch of 5s. So I don't know, like 26 should be okay, but I could even see the deck wanting a 27s potentially. And yeah, we have 10 islands, 9 swamps, 4 submerged boneyard for color fixing, 2 evolving wilds as additional lesser color fixing, and a field of ruin, which also happens to be bad color fixing and allows us to deal with some annoying deserts and stuff like that. Alright, that's the deck. Basically your typical blue-black control deck, just in starter format with a lot of diversified slots, like where in Constructed you would just run the best card for the job as like a 3 or 4 of. Here we have all sorts of different cards that have a lot of overlap, but are often inferior versions of other cards like Reaver Ambush and Vanquish the Weak, for example, and stuff like that. Yeah, that's the deck. Gonna battle with it and see how it goes. Gotta say though, from when I played with the deck, felt like one of the weaker starters. I didn't like it too much. Control decks usually just can't afford to play so many like inferior cards, like starter deck style cards, without suffering a lot, in my experience. So unless you're facing other starters, deck should have a hard time, and even against some of the better starters, it will probably just be outclassed. But we'll give it a try and see how we do. We don't know until we try. So stay tuned for the first game coming up in a moment.